his relationship with his wife, when he's going to his MDMA therapy sessions, it sounds like, he's not going necessarily to have fun or like you were saying before, people's connection with like, is that ecstasy? Is that like a rave drug? Like, no, he's going, this is what I'm hearing, to do some really serious work in the same way that when he goes to the gym, he's not farting around. Like he's working on like his abs, right? Because he's got to get ready for his magazine shoot. And, to have that level of like commitment to doing the hard work, to doing the hard listening, I think is really commendable. Yeah. But what he doesn't really tell you is what it looks like, meaning, so you find somebody that is, certified in working with MDMA, is a psychotherapist and a marriage counselor. What does it really look like? So you get there, you take the substance, like how long does it last? Like, how does it unfold? Is it quiet? Is it talkative? Is it prompted? Like, show us kind of, through an example, what it really looks like.
Sometimes it just depends on the client's goals, right? So when I work with individuals, the process could actually look very similar, whether I'm working with individuals or not. So we don't just like, hey, let's do it. It's really understanding the couple, what their goals are. For me, I like to do my best to cultivate honest, open communication beforehand. I do my best to understand the couple's triggers, what their triggers are together. We do some processing. I like personally to use the wheel, the shamanic wheel. So I use the directions north, south, east, west to help hold the container over the weeks that we're working together. Once we kind of develop a plan, I get a real understanding of what's going on. I know that both of them are comfortable with my process, with who I am. They feel like I'm an ally. Each person has to feel like I'm their ally, or we won't go deeper. And usually it's not a problem because, I love this work. So yeah, and I also have to feel that they're good candidates for this, right? We do that and then we'll find a location. It depends on the client. Sometimes they fly me out and sometimes they come out, right? Beforehand, I've already done a questionnaire. I know like what the situation is. What are the things that they want to recover? What are the hot button topics that you're like afraid to bring up? And then we walk through a process. I do a combination of things. Sometimes it's quiet time, reflection time. Sometimes it's in prayer or whatever, it depends on who my clients are. So if they tend to lean towards the spirituality, we definitely go there and go into ceremony and do some intention prayer and things like that. And then we come together for talks, for integration, and they essentially take turns. And we sometimes will play games. And MDMA is really, it's hard to explain, but it really gets folks really into like the sweetest, easiest, like heart space, almost like childlike, but just so warm, so loving. A lot of times I hold the space to see what wants to emerge, and then I go from there. So it's all facilitated. I'm there, and often I'll have someone else there just to kind of, just in case there's, we need a couple people. And we go through a whole process. By the end, we come up with, maybe some commitments, like, okay, this is what I heard and this is what I'm willing to do. And the next day we integrate, we process what happened. I take voracious notes of what was said. And then we work on the agreements, over that time. We work on the agreements, what was understood. They're all different, really. And I have a lot of tools, tricks up my sleeve. It really just depends on who the couple is and where they want to go.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. I love that it's not some kind of process or cookie cutter approach at all. It sounds like you're really feeling in to where people are at. And, there are some guideposts and guidelines. And certainly it's nice to have a sense of an outcome, to have the agreements, but to be able to flow in the sense of what people need. It sounds amazing.
Yeah. Because sometimes here's the thing is sometimes the people have not played in a very long time. And so some of the best work sometimes that you can do is helping to facilitate a really sweet, like playful process, like a little cuddle puddle for them. Or, like when you see your partner for the first time in that way, the bullshit can just like step aside and maybe some of it just doesn't matter. And so that's why it's like, I have to see where they're at, see what they want to process through. And sometimes we'll do more than one ceremony. Sometimes they'll want to kind of stay in it and do like a quarterly connection because it just helps. Just like we personally, as individuals, we need a reset. These weekends help to reset. So even if it's not what you're doing is not full of tension, but somehow you just feel disconnected and you guys, you want to reconnect, it's a beautiful way to reset and to realign, because it's just so easy for us to fall away from each other, get away from each other.
When you talked about the reset, I remember a story that a friend of mine told me. Her family had gone through something absolutely tragic, and what they found to be the most helpful, and they tried a lot of different things, a lot of different modalities. But she told me the most helpful thing that they did as a family